Hey guys, so today we went to a new venue to do our weekly show. We came down to Newlands where all the drama happened in the test series against Australia. Now, why this is relevant is because obviously South Africa is touring Australia and we might get a great reception from, or a crazy reception from the Australia fans as a little bit of a revenge against our fans that gave them a lot of hard time when they were down here. So let's start with this three-match ODI series. South Africa is going to play their first one on Sunday morning in South African Standard Time, at least 5:20. What do you guys think? What can we expect from our team?
I think the Proteas should wipe Australia. Australia have been terrible. The Proteas have got such a strong side, so I think we should be looking to really hammer them.
Alistair, there's like a new setup going on with regards to South Africa where they are trying to attempt to bring in this whole new all-rounder system. They've selected Chris Morris, Dwayne Pretorius. What do you think of their selections?
I think that obviously they'll be there to kind of see that they can handle the situations in Australia. It is a cauldron in that. I mean, it isn't the best Australian team, so there's an opportunity to get a 3-0 win. Dale Steyn's half century against Zimbabwe shows that he also might be in the running, and with Vernon Philander too, who knows? Yeah,
I want to get into Vernon Philander a little bit later, but let's first talk about Australia. There's a lot of talk about the behavioural change, and with the whole ball tampering thing happening, obviously they were exposed. The board was exposed. Yeah. Let's talk about the board was.
I'm sure you said that.
Yeah, the board was exposed a bit, and they were called arrogant. And
that's nothing new for Australia, though. We know they're arrogant, yeah.
But yeah. So as you guys have, as all timers, and always watched a lot of cricket going back in the day, I want to talk about the ethos of Australia, their attitude, and what we could have come to expect from a team like Australia about 10 years ago, 5 years ago.
I've always been very, not proud of Australia, but always looked up to Australia because they're such a strong team. They've got, I think, a great work ethic, a great whatever they do, that they just really want to win badly. And I think that's good to want to win at not all costs, but to want to win so badly. And they go and they do the work that's required. They are arrogant, but also to be the best, you often have to be the best. I think what happened just over there earlier this year is one of the most disgusting things ever in cricket. And I think even more disgusting is how more and more Australians are trying now to get it overturned. I think the ban was perfect, if not maybe even too lenient, and they should just suck it up and endure it. The problem for Australia is that they realise that they've lost so many good players, that Smith and Warner, and it's affecting the team. And when they come back in, they're going to come back in a month or so before the World Cup. There's no ways that they can be good enough and in good enough form before the World Cup to do well for Australia. So Australia are panicking, and that's why we're having all this talk about overturning the bans and all the rest. What they did was disgraceful, and they should suffer the ban.
So, Alistair, with regards to chirping, sledging, I mean, is that the identity that you see Australia as always in the past? Have you always seen them like that? Is that the type of team you saw them as?
Absolutely. In the 90s they had some really fantastic players, and they were able to back that up, with the chirps on the field. Shane Warne, Andrew Hudson, 1994 at the Wanderers. Shane Warne gave Andrew Hudson a real sending off, which he later felt bad about, and obviously in his book he speaks about those things. But for me, Australia, always tough competitors on the field, chirps that were backed up with performances on the field. And I feel that now that, they're the defending world champions, but they don't have that on the field. They can't talk the talk anymore. That's where the state of their game is at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, Dale Steyn came out with comments and said he's quite curious about their behavior and how they're going to be in this three-match series. I'm also curious of how they're going to actually approach this. I don't see anybody in that team that hold the sledge or has that aggressiveness. Besides, obviously, with the ball, you have Mitchell Starc that can show that, and Josh Hazelwood obviously that has that in their actual play. But with regards to mouth sledging and aggressive behavior in the field, I don't really know. What do you think, Simon?
Yeah, no, Alice is right. They can't back it up at the moment. Absolutely not. Shane Warne even said in a recent interview that the Australian team, he's worried about them. They just don't have what it takes. Warne was talking about Cullinan.
His bunny.
Is Bunny, yeah, which was almost very sad because Cullen was such a great player. but Warne had it over him. And Warne was, I think when Cullinan came back after a few years out, Warne said to him, Warne was at slip and Cullinan was struggling, and Warne said, don't go out, I want to get to bowl to you. And at some point, Cullinan, he said, Warne said to Cullinan, I've been waiting 4 years to bowl at you again. Please don't go out, I want to get you out. And so Cullinan turned around and said to him, you've obviously been spent those years eating. And to Warne's credit, and this sums up Australia, he turned around and said, good chirp, well done. So they're hard and they're tough, and that's what you have to be. But they're not merciless bastards. They want to win. They've pushed the boundary quite far. Sandpaper far too far. If you look back in YouTube, there's a lot of really disgusting things Australians have done. And it's sad to say that because they are such a great nation, they've got great cricketers. But often their guys have, the Ricky Ponting flicking over a bail against, I can't remember who it was, against Sri Lanka. He flipped over a bail as he walked past, and the guys try to make it look like he was bowled. And things that Dennis Lilly's done to the Pakistanis and to other players. So it's sad that they tend to cross the line, but that's maybe inevitable when you're pushing so hard. But I admire them, and I think they're great competitors, and world cricket is great for them. They just need to get back on the line.
Okay, so let's go back to the Proteas. We had a warm-up game, which we lost. A lot of people maybe are getting ahead of themselves, saying that that's not over for the Proteas. We saw that there was a lot of laughing in the field and stuff from the Proteas perspective, especially with regards to Bailey's stance.
Yeah.
But
he was very cheeky.
Yeah. But we could obviously see that the Proteas players weren't really up for the win necessarily. I wouldn't say up for the win, but they were more focused on other things rather than actually trying to win that match. It wasn't the prime focus for them. I think they were maybe worried more about techniques or styles of play, or putting their focus elsewhere on things that they need to tweak. So going into this ODI series, I think it's a massive, and it's the last experimental phase, as Otis Gisson has said. My concerns are the batting lineup. It still remains a concern even after Zimbabwe, where Faf still wants to bat at number 4. Otis Gibson thinks Faf still wants to bat at number 3. Otis Gibson would like him to bat at number 4. This will shuffle the order a lot, because it means who should open, who should not open, who should bat 3, who should bat 4, where should JP Duminy bat when he returns, and especially in the number 6 position. But then again, there's another spot that is worrying the Proteas, and that's the number 7 spot. We had a discussion off camera, and we just realized that 3 seamers are actually Steyn, Rabada and Gidi. But that means 8, 9 and 10, with the spinner being Tahir. So that means that the number 8 position is already taken if Dale Steyn is definitely going to be picked.
Yeah.
That means 2 all-rounders is not maybe an option, and that means that there are 3 all-rounders gunning for the number 7 position. So Andile Pekulkwayo, Dwayne Proteas and Chris Morris. So we spoke about Vern.
Yeah.
You don't think that he's in contention for the number 7 spot? Who else do you think?
He's in contention, but just to me, I think Andile Pekulkwayo is the stronger option. He just needs to knuckle down with his batting. He's giving his wicket away. Not giving his wicket away, but he's maybe not just seeing out matches when he needs to, just getting that not out. I think it's a big problem with a lot of players. I think I don't want to name players because we take a lot of flack on social media, but David Miller, who I think he could be our World Cup winner, but in the Prime Minister's 11 match, he went out caught in the boundary with 15, 20 overs left. He should really have said, this is a World Cup final. Let me play through to 100. Let me not worry about hitting boundaries. Let me play through to 100. Look at how Virat Kohli bats. If you watch his highlights, he's often playing test quality strokes. He keeps the ball on the ground often in ODIs. He finds the gaps, and I think that's where the Proteas are struggling in the middle order. Yeah.
So interesting that you brought in David Miller, because that is obviously another flaw, is at the number 6 position. We've got Heinrich Klaassen, David Miller. They've introduced Christian Jonker a little bit, to dabbled a bit in some matches. I didn't see much from him that would tell me, oh, you definitely have to pick him. But there's a massive competition between Klaassen and David Miller. For you, Simon seems to like David a lot.
Yeah.
I think David is a great player. If he's on form, he's ruthless.
And he has a track record of doing quite incredible things with the bat.
Yeah.
Maybe not enough, but he's got a track record of producing good results.
Yeah. But scrunch to scrunch, I mean, red to red.
Yeah.
Do you like maybe Hein Klaassen a little bit more, or would you say David Miller is the guy?
I enjoy Klaassen quite a bit. He's a good stroke player. Sometimes he tends to also throw away his wickets, but he's also great at building an innings and maybe a bit of take a leaf out of Kohli there and play the ball on the ground. You know that. But I do enjoy David Miller too. I mean, he's been there before. He was at the last World Cup. He does have the credentials. So it's good to have that competition between those two, because if one isn't firing, maybe the other one can step in. You need that competition, and they're going to be tested in Australia, regardless of that. It is a weak Australia team. There's going to be an opportunity to kind of replicate the type of pressure you're going to feel at a World Cup.
Okay, so can we all agree that in the number 5 position, JP Duminy has been exceptional, and he's most likely the number 1 in that position?
Yeah, and he's an all-rounder. So we got to remember, how many bowlers do you need in the side?
Yeah.
We need batsmen.
Yeah.
So, but he is an all-rounder as well. And to me, he's a surefire for the position. Yeah.
Okay, so we can agree that JP Duminy is number 5. There's a little bit of a question mark over number 6 and number 7. We know that number 8 is most likely going to be Dale Spain's position if he can remain fit until the World Cup. Okay, we don't have to talk about our bowlers. The bowling attack is amazing. Then we go up to number 4. That's where Faf du Plessis is most likely going to play, according to Gibson. That means then there's a newbie in number 3. So it's either between Aiden Markram and Reza Hendricks. And then we have our openers, Hashim Amla and Quinton de Kock. I've dabbled around with the thought of maybe pushing Amla down and moving Reza Hendricks or Aiden Markram into the number in the opening position, because that's their natural positions.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a bit far-fetched?
No, I think that's a good idea. I think we need to New Zealand almost won the World Cup in '92, having Deepak Patel opening the bowling. Very unusual, surprised everyone. Sri Lanka won the '96 World Cup with sort of the pinch hitter type guy. Yeah. Bless you.
Yeah.
And I mean, they were just astounding. They took everyone by surprise. Now, something that I always got very frustrated by South Africa in the 1990s and a bit in the 2000s was we'd have the guys, and you could almost, by clockwork, it would be Donald, Pollock, 5 or 6 overs, and then you'd change. There was no mixing stuff up enough.
It was very formulaic.
Very formulaic, yeah. And that doesn't leave areas for people to do dynamic things. Now, I think what we have to do, if Faf wants to bat number 3 and Gibson wants to bat 4, there's a very easy solution. Faf wants to bat 3 because he wants to be in at a certain stage. Probably not in the first over, ideally, but probably around over 5 to 10. So why not say have 2 guys with their pads on and say, if we lose a wicket between 5 and 7 or 10 overs, Faf goes in then. So you don't have to worry about batting in number 3. You bat in the time zone maybe, where he feels more comfortable. The ball may be newer, or he wants it a bit older. I think that's what we need to be looking at.
Yeah,
I want to touch on that because Khali makes a good point there, is that Amla's a senior role. Why not put him at 3? Bring in the younger guys. So Markram or Hendricks with de Kock. Maybe stick with Markram because of the experience he's had and what he's led the under 19 team, the junior Proteas and that. So bring the younger guy in, make him do the hard work, see off the new ball, and Amla gets primed. He's as I say, he's a senior role. Let him have that luxury of the number 3 spots. Nail that down. But once again, think out the box. Don't just use a formulaic way of doing things. Then we're easy to think out, and that's my main concern, and change things around. Yeah.
There's another point on that. Amla's getting older, obviously. He's still a fantastic cricketer, without doubt. But he's getting older, and as you get older, things change, and your body reacts. And it's hard facing the new ball in international cricket. So maybe move him away, as Alistair says. That's a great idea. I think what's very important is that our openers need to just cool it down a bit. You see Quinton de Kock out first ball, slashing a wide ball. It's a warm-up match, doesn't really matter, but would he do that in the World Cup final? If you watch again Virat Kohli, I don't want to just always harp on Virat Kohli, but he's happy to shoulder arms to balls in ODIs. Let the openers say to the guys, forget about scoring boundaries for the first 4 or 5 overs, just get in there, wait for the bad ball. Everyone's very focused on dominating the bowlers, and that's very important. But you can't dominate them when you're not yet at the crease, when you're not feeling stable. Then you're just risking a wicket. And I think that's where the Proteas have a problem at the moment.
Yeah, you get 300 balls in an ODI. See those 300 balls out. If you're not going to do so on the first 10 overs, okay, that's 60 balls out the way. You still got 240 to go. But make sure you see out those 300 balls. That's key. Yeah.
You see the argument
so on top of that as well, if the openers are going to have a early if the openers are going to go for it early on, which it's in their style, so then let them do that if that's part of the plan. But if they get out early, then the rest of the team needs to say, okay, now we need to stretch things out. Again, David Miller, not going to criticize him, he's a fantastic player, but in that situation, he shouldn't have holed out hitting directly to a player on the boundary. He should have kept on the ground. If you're going to hit in the air, easy to say, but hit it somewhere where there isn't a fielder. That sounds very simplistic, but don't get out, don't give your wicket away and then be out when you've got 10, 15 overs left. And for Rabada to have to score, what, he got 30, 38? You know, he shouldn't be batting. Dale Steyn shouldn't be batting. Our batsmen are good enough. They should not let number 7 and 8 should come in for an over or two. That's the strength of our batting.
Okay, so I'm going to pose this question to both of you because this is still on the same topic. The argument for Amala to open the batting is that he's been one of the best batsmen in the world in the power plays. He's very good at finding the gaps in the power plays because of his accuracy and his wrist movement and off the new ball. But then, if I look at someone like Aiden Markram and Reza Hendricks, respectively for the Lions and obviously for the Titans, I watched Aiden Markram score that 180 at Newlands. Fantastic innings, and even in the final, was it the final, the semi-final we played it as well, he scored 180. So I watched him with the new ball, and he's brilliant on the new ball and against pace bowlers. So to compare the two and say Amala's power play ability versus Reza Hendricks and Aiden Markram's new ball ability, I don't know how close they actually are. I don't know who wants to answer this question.
I don't know. I just want to stick with my initial argument, is that he's a senior guy, and I think he needs to get taken down away from the cauldron and assess things, because then he's able to see what's going on the pitch with the openers. And, you know, he's not, he deserves that role. He's the elder statesman. Yeah. You know?
Like Kohli, he should be in the Kohli position, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's our best batsman, Amla.
You know, I mean, the thing about Kohli, and Amla does this too, is that when Amla hits 100 ODI, it's usually off 80 odd balls. Now, in the old days, that would be a guy smashing the ball everywhere. Now, the same with Kohli. Kohli hits 150 off 120 balls. Those are strokes. Those are fours, piercing the gaps. That's what Amla does too, and that's what he adds. And that's for me, and I agree with you. Take him to number 3.
Okay. So, South Africa's ability to win the World Cup. This might be a little bit controversial in what I think is. I think out of all the teams out there at the moment, South Africa are the dark horses in this tournament this season. The reason I think this is because for the first time in a long time, we have a team. There's not one player or two players that we're going to rely on to save us the game. We need performances from everybody in our team as a collective to have a chance of winning this World Cup. When I look at India have been heavily reliant on Virat Kohli. It's quite obvious to see. With Australia, it was Steve Smith, David Warner. When you look at England, okay, England is going to be the team to beat, because I mean they're another team that have amazing team from top to bottom.
And they're at home.
Yeah, and they're at home and they know the conditions. So it's going to be an amazing World Cup. But if South Africa have any ounce of winning this, they need to bat collectively as a team. If every single batsman in the top 6 can score runs, 40, 50, doesn't matter, in that bracket, we have a good chance of actually pulling through.
Just also with World Cups, you know, India won their World Cup in 2011, Australia won their World Cup in 2015. So England definitely are going to be the team to beat. It's going to be a tough one. But I just wanted to say one more thing also, just going into the series against Australia. South Africa have the highest win percentage in the history of ODIs. We shade Australia by just a few, so we're 63.85, Australia 63.54. So this little this 3-match ODIs and have a lot of needle in it. So historically we actually are, but this is what happens before World Cups. We go into World Cups going in as the number 1 ranked team, and then things happen. I don't want to say much because we've had our hearts broken quite a few times, but we've gone into World Cups with these things. So it starts now, Australia. It starts now. The build-up, for me, we need to beat them 2-1, 3-0.